for having me.
Yeah, I thought we would do a little brief chat about the workshop that we have coming up in Seattle in April. I'm going to put together a blog post, and I just want to put a little video on the website so that people would be familiar with the workshop and with Luma and all that stuff. So I thought we'd just have a brief chat. Everyone's kind of super busy and focused on work, so maybe we'll keep it to like 10 minutes or so. And do you want to
Okay.
just start and tell us about your role at Luma and what you're up to?
Yeah. So I helped co-found Luma, and I'm the chief operating officer today. And Luma is an educational institute. We work with all different kinds of organizations around the world, and teach them human-centered design methods that they can use to drive innovation, improve their product development efforts, and collaborate in meaningful ways. So yeah.
Great. And what's going on behind you? You've got a lot of diagramming there. Kind of curious about that. Is that from a workshop?
That's actually from a meeting we recently ran. So not surprisingly, right? A lot of the methods that we teach in the workshops and that we cover in the workshops really have they're about sort of visual expression, visually expressing ideas as a means of fostering collaboration. And so one hallmark to a lot of the methods is they're very generative, right? In terms of generating artifacts out of the discussion, which sort of helps us move forward. So this happens to be, the thing behind me happens to be some artifacts from a recent meeting that we had. Lots of post-it notes. Tends to be another sort of hallmark of the methods in action.
I remember a lot of post-it notes from the workshop that I attended with you in San Francisco a couple months back. So cool.
Yeah,
Well,
we've covered a lot of walls.
we absolutely covered a lot of wall space, and we'll definitely do that in Seattle too. So do you want to take us through what the workshop is going to be about and the content, and maybe speak to who should attend and what kind of benefits they would get from attending?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that, Jay. So, so in a nutshell, this is a two-day public workshop. So we'll have people from a wide range of organizations, right? Everything from sort of leaders of small, fast-growth businesses to people running research teams at Fortune 500 type companies, to, in a lot of cases, heads of nonprofits and people in other operating roles, whether that be marketing or product roles, or user experience, customer experience type roles. And in a nutshell, you've got people, attendees from with varying degrees of expertise and experience using human-centered design methods and approaches. And the idea is to deepen people's competence in the practice of these methods, and really equip people with some tools that they can add into their existing toolkit of methods, and hopefully start to take and apply right away out of the workshop. I guess just to say a little bit more about the workshop and the type of things we tend to do in the workshops. I mean, they tend to be really experiential events, as you've experienced firsthand, Jay. So certainly a little bit of lecture, especially in the upfront bit, but most of the experience is working in small interdisciplinary teams, tackling real problems, real challenges, similar to the types of challenges people are used to tackling in their day-to-day roles, and doing it by way of human-centered design methods, small teams.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I've been doing this a long time. It's almost, I think, 13 years next month that I've been doing user research and all that stuff. I got a bunch of training, degrees, and I've gone to a lot of human factors trainings. But there were things in the workshop that I'd never done before that were really interesting and new. So I was surprised by that, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to collaborate with you on this and do this in Seattle. Just thought it was a great workshop.
Oh, thanks a lot, Jay. Thanks a lot. And what we found is we cover a pretty wide array of methods. Some of them are methods that you've got deep experience with and expertise with. as well as a number of other methods that a lot of research teams, a lot of product teams, and a lot of other organizations don't necessarily use a whole lot. And so the idea is, even if you've got deep expertise using particular methods, hopefully there will be something there for you outside of that. And one of the other things that we've seen, even in running workshops where we've got people in the audience who run 50-person user research teams at large, complex global organizations, is that a lot of these organizations that are really adept at going out and doing great research sometimes have a real challenge on their hands when trying to take those research findings and get from that sort of laundry list of 100 things that they could do to improve the experience and really distill that down into actionable insights, right? And a lot of the methods are well suited to help teams tackle that kind of challenge.
And what types of, usually when I think of research workshops, I think of practitioners or things like that. And I think what struck me as different about this workshop is that it is also very useful for a totally different level, whether it's product managers or higher level folks, and just helping them to get ingrained with design thinking and really have a better understanding and empathy, what that's like. Can you talk more about that and how the exercises play in that?
Yeah, sure, Jay. So I'm really pleased to hear you say that. That's certainly something we've tried to do. One decision we made early on in establishing Luma was to really focus on a broad notion of design, right? Not as the act of sort of making things pretty or the stereotypical sort of ornamental qualities of design, but much more of focusing on design as a discipline of taking an existing situation, whatever that might be, and turning it into a preferred situation. We sort of borrowed that definition from Herb Simon, the Nobel Prize-winning economist from Carnegie Mellon, and so that sort of reframing of design, not as sort of the act of making something prettier, but really as a much broader discipline that applies whether you're working on a product, but not just a product. It could be a service, it could be a policy, it could be a new program, it could be anything, right? And framing it broadly like that has created a context where people in all different types of operating roles and levels of expertise have been able to get something out of the experience. And I guess in a nutshell, we think that there are three fundamental skill sets that individuals and teams and organizations need to have in order to get really good at this. And when we talk about human-centered design, those three skill sets that we touch on, the first is looking. And so, that's about getting really adept at looking and listening closely, engaging all the senses, and being disciplined about studying the people who are ultimately using your product, right? Understanding how to really be tuned in to studying their behavior, and not just what they say, but also what they do, and sometimes the gap between those things. And the second skill set that we tend to really touch on as part of our catalog of methods that we teach is this notion of understanding, right? So in some cases, that involves sort of methods that help us better understand the audience that we're ultimately trying to serve. But it's also methods that help us understand data, right? So I gave the example earlier of getting from that laundry list of hundreds and hundreds of findings and distilling it down into the things that are most important to people, and prioritizing based on what you're learning from your audience. And then last but not least, this skill set of making. And in this context, it's not just making things like a redesign of a website. It's composing new ideas, right? Methods that we can enlist to do that. So creative alternatives to traditional brainstorming, and also methods that help us rapidly prototype and get things in the hands of real users as a means of learning. And so the methods that we cover tend to draw upon those three skill sets that we're hoping to develop and really build that sort of literacy in any number of organizations.
Great, and we'll have people will be reading this on our blog, so we'll have the description below this, and they'll be able to read that. Or if they get this video on YouTube, they can click the link and come to the blog post. So we'll have the
Sure.
PDF overview and all of the description, which will just show the three areas that you just discussed. Is there before we wrap up, is there anything else that you think people need to know if they're on the fence about signing up? What would you say to get them off the fence and things like that?
Yeah, I think there are a couple things to think about if you're wondering if this workshop is right for you, and if it's a good investment of time and resources. I'd say we've run thousands of people through the workshop at this point, ranging from senior government officials to professors at leading academic institutions to operating execs from Fortune 500 companies. And so I'd say, if you're in a product role, a design role, a research role, or a user experience or customer experience role, or if you're a consultant or a deep expert in a lot of the methods, or perhaps in an engineering type role, or if you just simply have interest in design thinking or human-centered design more broadly, a workshop would be a good fit for you. And anybody who's interested in measurably improving things by making their products easier to use, or who's trying to tackle the challenge of figuring out how to drive innovation within an organization. I think those are all good reasons to attend. And then certainly last but not least, the public workshops that we do. So the vast majority of the workshops that we run are private workshops, right? But the public workshops have sort of a special place in my heart because each and every one is different, right? The mix of people is different. You tend to get people from a lot of diversity, a lot of interesting backgrounds and roles and companies represented. And naturally what happens is in the course of the workshop, as people are grappling with the methods and trying to figure out which ones they might take and apply within their business, a lot of serendipity takes place. People end up striking up really interesting conversation. So it's a great chance to get to know some folks who sort of share your passion around creating great experiences and measurably improving business performance by doing so.
Yeah, definitely some great networking opportunities with like-minded people and companies. Absolutely. Well, I just want to wrap up. I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with me today, and thanks again.
Thanks for having me, Jay. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Take care.
All right, take care.